Hello everybody and welcome to our 50th broadcast here on Sim Broadcasts. The Team Racing Championship 2020 is drawing to a close. Tonight we've got round 41 with the XRT at the Kyoto Ring Oval. I'm joined in the commentary box tonight by Thilo Falkenberg, who will be driving in this event, and we're going to have some funky onboards with him. But full-time on the voice will be Travis Mehlinger. Hi Travis.
Good evening, good afternoon, Pete.
Lots to look forward to. 2 30-lap races. Second race, of course, will be a reverse grid race as per the Team Racing Championship format. And tonight we're on round number 41 of 44. XRT at KO1 today. And at the end of the month, it's all going to be over. The champions in the Teams Championship and the Drivers Championship will be crowned. Speaking of the Drivers' Championship, at the top, separated by 42 points, Jan Bukowski Leads Gavin Peat, Nico Pantola and Rick Cardle, the only 4 drivers that remain that are able to lift the Drivers' Championship trophy. Then it's Jari Katila, Trespasser, Pekka Koivunen and Joni Katila, Chris McElroy, Michael Malik, David Godge and Teemu Soini. There are the rest of the 24 names that make up the top 24 in the Drivers' Championship after round 40. Turning our attention to the team standings then, it's so close at the top, Travis. We've got Yes Motorsport edging out Team Up Racing by only 7 points. The gap was 39 points in the other direction last round, but Yes Motorsport have taken the lead by only 7 points. But as far as I can tell tonight, Team Up Racing have come out in force with a load of drivers to try and take that battle back to Yes Motorsport. World Class Lines are still hanging in there in third. They're quite a way clear of Race Green in P4. Then it's Born to Race in P5, Master Race Car P6, TC Racing in P7, Road Appraiser Racing Team in P8, Sidus in P9, Nordic Racing Team still there in P10, Energy Virtual Racing P11 and Conquest Racing P12. There are the rest of the top 24 teams in the championship. So qualifying will be getting underway in around about 4 minutes time. And Travis, tonight we've got a little bit of a different format because of the nature of the track and also the amount of drivers that we're expecting to go on track. So do you want to talk us through the qualifying format for this round?
I can. This will be pretty exciting. Obviously, we're doing oval racing this evening, so a little bit different than the open session that we usually see on road tracks. The way this will work is cars will go out one at a time. They'll have a warm-up lap. They'll have a flying lap. And I believe, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, we've got enough cars in the event tonight that we'll actually have to be, we'll have people cycling in and out of the server in order to make sure that we have enough space for drivers to go around the track. Drivers will qualify and then cycle off, and then we'll bring the top qualifiers back for the race.
Something like that. But yeah, there's going to be groups of cars sent out on track at once. So it'll be a slightly longer qualifying session than we're used to. And slightly longer races as well, 30 laps each, so around about 20 to 25 minutes of racing in each race. Hopefully we get away cleanly in both of them, because in LFS we really do enjoy watching XRT at the Oval. It's a very popular combination back in the day, so great to have it again here in the Team Up Racing Championship. A little bit of a breakaway from the norm that we're used to. We don't see much oval racing in this championship, but yeah, lots to look forward to this evening. Speaking of what we've got coming up, just before we get going for qualifying, I want to mention that tomorrow we are running a special promotional event for our 50th broadcast. That starts at 8 o'clock UTC, where there'll be a small event where the SBTV commentators and team will be driving against each other for a bit of fun. And then at 9 o'clock, we'll open up the server for pickup races for you guys to join in, and that will kick off at 9 o'clock and finish at 10 o'clock UTC. More details on that will be posted tomorrow throughout the day, so keep an eye on the usual channels, Discord, whatnot. We'll post all the information about that tomorrow. But that should be a fun one, Travis, and I hear you're going to be there, so it's going to be good fun.
I will be there. I'm taking it perhaps a little bit more seriously than we had intended when we first discussed this event. I've got cameras set up. I've got lighting. I've gone all in. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, most of the SBTV team will be there. It'll be a good laugh, and we hope you can join us in the second hour for some pickup races, which will be streamed and broadcast in the usual manner by us here on Twitch. So, turning our attention back to this evening, we've got 1 minute left before the first cars are sent out on track, and as a little bit of a treat, we've got Thilo Falkenberg, who's in the commentary box with us, but he's going to be driving tonight, as well as Jack Eyre as well. And we have onboard cameras from their actual houses and their actual living rooms, which is going to be fun to show on stream. And I think Thilo, you're going to say a few words when you fancy it.
Yes, indeed. So good evening to everyone out there. I was just doing some final practice laps, and now I'm looking forward to these two 30-lap races. And qualifying is starting right now. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's turn our attention to the track then, Travis, for the beginning of this qualifying session.
There we go. The race director has just called the first cars to the pit exit, so we should start seeing a couple cars rolling out in just a few moments. And we'll get underway and see the first few laps going.
Yeah, so all these drivers will be sent out at the same time, the first group of drivers, and they'll have to find their own space for themselves. But then after that, they are on their own. So drafting's not allowed. They have to leave enough room for each other. As we see plenty of drivers doing lots of weaving up and down the pit lane to get some heat in those tyres.
Yeah, some very aggressive tire warning from Japan, who managed to get to the front of the line. He will... Is this an advantage, Pete, to be the first one out? They do need to leave each other space, but they may have to account for mistakes of cars going around in front of them. They obviously don't want to catch up and pick up the draft. Is it best to go first? Is it best to go last? What do you think?
Well, they aren't allowed to use the draft of each other, so they have to leave room. So it doesn't really matter where you go out. There's so few drivers on track at once that there should be enough room for them to each go out with plenty of room. You don't want to follow someone too closely, especially not through oval turn 3.
A little info for you. So the race direction is opening and closing the pit exit to space everyone out. So a little bit like these one car lights that you sometimes see around when just one car is allowed to pass at the green light.
Last car coming out of the exit right now as Japan is coming across the start-finish line to start his flying laps. Coming through the left-hand bend now, and his first-time lap begins, and cars behind him will also be crossing a line to begin their first-time laps.
Yeah, so Team Racing's Japan currently leading the Drivers' Championship ahead of his teammate Gavin Peat. He'll want to put that car firmly on pole position, no doubt. See what he can manage. So the drivers will take a very wide line through the final oval turn because they want to build up as much speed as they can as they shoot across start-finish for the first of their 2 flying laps. We expect to see the fastest of the 2 flying laps on the second lap, Travis, but it's possible some drivers might do it on the first. So there is Japan's first time, 48.15.
He's got a really good looking line down into turn 1, too. You can see that he holds the car down tight and lets the car just drive off the corner. He wants to be very delicate with the bounce of the car. He wants to drift up the racetrack, but he also wants to try to keep it down, keep a tighter line to shorten the racetrack as much as possible. So he's trying really hard to find a balance between scrubbing off the speed, holding the car down, and letting the car run wide. And he'll do the same thing in turn 3, get it down as tight as he can on this white line. It's really hard to get the car all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. You can see he's making very small inputs and corrections while keeping the power down, lets the car run out to the wall a little bit wide. But this looks to be, I think this will be a pretty good lap. This seems like a good benchmark time. Looked pretty smooth going around.
Well, TJ actually beat both of his attempts. Oh no, there you go. The second attempt for Japan was actually quicker, 48.03, 200ths of a second quicker than TJ. But TJ quite wide around the final oval turn. Here he comes for his final lap, his second flying lap of the session. He's run out of fuel, so he's cut it pretty fine up to start finish, and he takes that provisional pole away from Japan. Good lap there for the Road Appraiser driver, the first driver in the 47s. Yaroloko for Yes Motorsports coming across the line to set his second timed lap. The number 2 across the line, and he improves up to 3rd place as the next set of drivers await at the end of the pit lane before they head out.
In this group, we've got our own Thilo Falk going around right now.
And also Jack Eyre. I think we can show an onboard of Jack as he's driving around. Yeah, he's using VR there, so you can see the view from his headset. Hi, Jack.
I can take you around the lap.
When you get onto a lap, yeah, we'll go on board with you, Thilo, and have some commentary from you.
Yeah, and I hope I don't embarrass myself. So already not hitting the apex there. Usually you want to be as narrow as possible through turn 1. Then approaching diagonally turn 2. Again, not hitting the apex. Probably not talking through my second lap. But most important corner here on this track is turn 3. You have to lift a little bit, and it is a little bit like in Darlington that the upper lane is the faster one.
Oof.
Yeah, slight hit of the wall.
We'll let you focus on your second lap.
Yeah,
Thilo. Go
focus
get
on the
after
second
it.
Yes,
lap.
but this is bringing
Good
me
luck.
over the line, and that is one lap here around Kyoto.
Behind him, we've got Ropo coming across the line. First lap, I believe, 48.27. He should come around quicker on his next time around. Jack Eyre across the line with a 48.23. Ideally, we'll see him pick up the pace on his next lap as well.
Yeah, both Jack and Thilo are guest driving for TC Racing this evening. As we can see, Thilo's lovely backdrop there as he heads around the last corner. Looks a little bit better this time, Thilo.
It feels better as well.
Currently P11. See what you can get as you come across the line.
Yeah, lost about 2/10 on this lap, but yeah, for talking during a lap, that's okay.
P9. Here comes Jack then for his final timed lap. Across the line he comes, and he improves to P5. Good effort.
It's a respectable lap. He notably, Jack took a tighter line coming through the. Well, I don't know what you would call that, Pete, but we call it the tri-oval around American tri-oval racetracks. He took a tighter line down below the middle white line, whereas everybody else let the car go a little bit wide.
Yeah, I'm sure Jack will be able to give us some insight later on. But yeah, we have Thilo's voice for the race and Jack's onboards. I'm sure Jack will be in amongst the action as well, so it'll be good to have those perspectives. Escamas is out on a lap, the number 39 Global Gaming car. He's about to come across the start-finish line to start his flying lap, his first flying lap. His teammate, Mimv, is in P11. Who else have we got in this group, Travis?
See, we've got Kid, we've got Ayub, we've got Twin, we have Esquimas, and we've got Boz coming around on a time lap right now.
Okay, so Abe was the first to cross the line. He went P7.
Boz coming through right now for, I believe, his first time lap. It looked really smooth off turn 3. Yep, 48.2, not a bad first lap. See if he can pick it up on his next one. Esquimas coming across the line right now. 48.23. Pretty, I would say that's near average. We'll see if he can pick up the pace in his next lap as well. Twin coming through the tri-oval in the third lane. 49.01, way off the pace of the other drivers. And Ayub coming across the line right now to finish his second lap. 48.12, slight improvement.
Yeah, his teammate Twin, not a good lap that. 1.08 seconds off the pole time, which is a lot around the oval. But he's on another attempt. Let's see what he can manage.
Boz crossed and managed to go any quicker. Twin coming through turn 3 right now. Using the high line that Thilo talked about. Appears to be pretty smooth, didn't throw off too much speed. See how wide he can make the tri-oval to come across the line and set his second lap time.
Does improve. Up to P15 there. TJ's still leading the way. He's got quite a margin, hasn't he? He's a tenth ahead of Japan.
That's an awfully quick time. The margins in oval racing, especially in qualifying, are so narrow that a tenth of a second gap over second place is I would call that huge.
Yeah, Kid went P11 in that group. So I think Eskimas was the quickest. Young Tommy B up there in P3 still. Pedro P7. And we've got Sim Jintas here, who's not really sure what team he's in today. He's got the Global Gaming tag as well as the S Motorsports tag, so not sure who he's scoring points for. Gonna assume it's Global Gaming.
Behind him, we've got Kevin Kig coming across the line. I guess in this group as well. Donalik about to come across the line, start his first time lap. Gustus coming around as well through turn 3. And Rick Cardall about to come across the line.
Whole
Last
flurry
in
of
this
cars. Yeah. And it looks like we've got another set of cars waiting at the end of the pit lane, ready to go out as well.
Kevin had a huge moment coming off of turn 3. He took an uncommonly low line, and the car drifted way out to the wall. You could see him put down a lot of skid marks trying to keep the car under control. Managed to keep it out of the concrete, but set a pretty slow lap time. And he's wide into turn 1 now, clearly struggling somewhat to find pace in the car.
Yeah, that was only his first time lap, so let's see if he can improve on the second run. Who was that who just crossed the line? That was...
That's Bukis.
Yeah, Bukis goes just outside the top 10. Yaroslav Donnelly there, P5, good effort for him. So Yaroslav setting another lap time now.
Gustus came across the line, didn't improve his time very much, but he may have been impeded. I didn't see who it was, a car down low on the racetrack trying to get out of the way. He may have picked up a bit of a draft, hard to say. It didn't show in the lap time, but we'll see what he does on his next time around.
Donnelly very wide there around the final corner. We're going to see that a lot during the race. The XRT is really, really difficult around the oval. You do have to lift. It's one of the only cars that you do have to lift in. And yeah, it's no improvement there for Yaroslav.
Behind him, Ricardo coming across the line. A respectable 48-10.
Yeah, good effort. Gustas as well. Here he comes. Currently in P22. Let's see if he can improve from last place. Sadly not. So the next set of drivers out on the track. We've got Erotica out there, another Global Gaming car. So there's 5 of them here today. That's quite a good turnout.
Got TCR driver Chris McElroy coming around out on the track as well. Pekka Koivunen coming around the back of the circuit. Yes, Fast coming across the line. We've got Barut coming around turn 3. And we've got TRR Arco coming through as well.
Yeah, Arco, one of the drivers who's joined the ranks of TRR for this, I guess the final few rounds of this championship to try and close that gap and maybe take over the lead of the championship from Yes Motorsport, who hold it by 7 points currently.
Chris McElroy using absolutely as much track as he possibly can, out of turn 1 all the way up to the wall and just scraped it ever so slightly. Smooth through turn 2, now coming into turn 3 to complete this lap. Chris uses high Darlington line, stayed very wide, appeared not to scrub up too much speed. Wide through the tri-oval now, coming across the line with a tighter line. 48-46 doesn't improve.
Pekka Koivunen there, down in P25 of the 27 drivers who've currently set a lap time. Make that 28 as Beirut slots into P2. Very nice lap time from Beirut.
Arco just crossed the line as well, going into turn 1, out of turn 1 now to start his second lap. Set a 48-16, good for 12th place, pretty good time. Chris McElroy is coming through to set another lap time now. 48-54 across the line, no big improvement. Pekka Koivunen coming through as well, right behind Chris McElroy. Brings the car down through the tri-oval and across the finish line. 48.49. Very slight improvement.
Yeah, up to P24. Here comes Arco across the line, and he's gone P3. Team Racing very strong at the top at the moment. Fast and Yaroloco there in P7 and 8. But we've still got the powerhouse of Yas Motorsport to leave the pits. Lugutskas is waiting in the wings, I believe. As well as Nika Pantola, otherwise known as Unite. And now on the track we're watching Jari Katila for World Class Lines. Jari Katila coming across the line. He will start a flying lap.
Behind him, Unite crosses the line for his first lap, 48.32. He'll want to find a lot more pace on his second lap. Gemini behind him coming through as well. Sets 48.25, not a bad first lap. He'll also look for an improvement on his second time through the racetrack. Texas, a notable driver in this series. He's been very quick around the road circuits. 48.48, not an impressive first lap, but he is historically very quick. We'll look for him to improve on his next lap around the racetrack.
31 times on the board, Travis, so we're approaching the end, but I believe there's going to be more drivers than that attempting a lap to whittle down the top 40. Jari Katila comes across the line and goes P24. Driver's currently at risk. Looks like two of the global gaming cars and Gun Mr. Fetch currently at risk, but Mr. Fetch has another lap to try and improve. He's currently just under a second off the pole time, but that's good enough for last place right now. So he really needs to find something through this final corner, the trickiest corner on the track in the XRT. Uses the third lane. Doesn't use all the runoff on the exit, only reaches the wall very late. Let's see if this is an improvement. It is not, so 33rd place then for Mr. Fetch.
Behind him, Jari Katila had a bit of a moment coming off turn 3, 48.32, slight improvement.
Unite went P4, so that's the best of the Yes Motorsports drivers so far. Team Racing's Arco, the only Team Racing driver ahead currently, as Trespasser leaves the pits now in the next group.
While we were looking at other cars coming across the line, Texas was not able to make a big improvement. He's down near the bottom of the order in 28th behind Chris McElroy. 48.48 the time for him, pretty far off the front of the pack and his TRR teammates. Speaking of Team Rock Racing cars, Bott's about to cross the line for his first lap. Kind of a slow first split across the line, 48.52. Obviously, like most others on the track, looking for an improvement on their second lap. He's close behind Trespasser. I don't think that's close enough to get a draft Pete, is it?
Not quite, no. But you can see how close the margins are from P8 down to P12. They're all within a tenth of each other. Obviously, drivers who set the fast lap first have the advantage. Anyone who sets the same lap time gets bumped to the back of that pack. There's currently 3 drivers on from 10th to 12th with the same lap time. Here comes
coming through to set a lap time now.
Trespasser goes by
48.02.
Bort's P22 with that attempt. Let's see if Trespasser can improve. This is an important lap for him. One of these two needs to get ahead of Arco if they want to be in a strong position at the start of the race to maintain that championship lead.
He was awfully quick on his first lap, looked really, really smooth. He of all the ones I watched going through turn 3, appeared to be the quickest, kept the revs up, managed to avoid counter steering to keep the car on the racing line. More of the same on this lap. He's really, really smooth through here. The revs are pretty high. He drives the car off the corner all the way out to the wall. He'll take a nice, smooth, broad arc around the tri-oval and across the finish line. We'll see if he improves.
He does. Moves up to P3 ahead of Arco, which is important for Yes Motorsport. Scattle for Born to Race is leaving the pits. There are 38 times currently, so at this point we're going to see who's going to be eliminated from the qualifying session. Yoni Cotilla's out there as well, and you have to assume that the guts gas is circulating somewhere too.
I don't see him. It's just these two cars, and I believe these are the last cars out on track.
I guess Vitaltas isn't driving then in this round.
He is not. Scattle wide off turn 3, lost the rear of the car and hit it in the wall. He will definitely have damage. He'll start this lap down on pace. He'll have to hope that the car is not damaged too badly to find more speed on his second lap, because the first lap definitely is not going to be competitive. Yoni Cotilla brings the car through turn 1. Nice tight line. Wide off the exit. Now coming through turn 2. Bumped the curb ever so slightly. That'll scrub off a bit of speed. A little bit of counter steering, letting the car drive out to the wall in turn 2. He'll try to keep the car stable through turn 3. Lifts out of the throttle, tries to keep it tight on the white line, but it wants to go up the racetrack. He'll have to put the throttle down and try to get as much speed as he can down the front stretch through the tri-oval and into turn 1 to get a quick second lap.
Well, let's see what his first time is for the World Class Lions driver. Not that good, so let's see if he can improve on P24 with his next attempt.
He appears to be struggling. He struggled quite a bit of speed through turn 1. You could see him sawing at the wheel and didn't let the car drift quite as high or as smoothly to the exit as some of the faster drivers ahead of him. He bumps the curb again. I think he's showing us that oval driving is difficult, harder than it looks, especially on a track as tricky as the Kyoto ring.
How long have you been waiting to say that?
Well, how long have we been on? About 25 minutes? I've been waiting about 25 minutes to say that it's harder than it looks.
Here he comes, Yoni Cotilla. You'd think that would have been improvement. 22nd only. Wow. I'm quite surprised by that, to be honest. I thought Yoni would have had more in the bag. But anyway, is that all the cars? Are we done? Is that everybody? I think that's everybody.
That's everybody.
40 cars then, and no one was eliminated, so that's good. That means we're going to get everyone starting who set a lap time in the qualifying session, and it only took us around about 25 minutes to get through everybody without any spills. Travis, can you run us down the order for the start of race number 1?
I can. At the very front, we have TJ, 800ths of a second clear of Barut, which is a huge gap on a track like this. Trespasser, also 800ths of a second off the lead. In third place, Arco and Unite, 900ths off, starting 4th and 5th. Japan starting 6th. Young Tommy B in 7th. Michal in 8th. Fast 9th. Hero Loco in 10th. And then we've got Donalik, Jack Eyre, 11th to 12th. Eskimos, Rick Cardall, Pedro, Ayub, Erotica, Perobo, Boz, and TCR Adam starting 20th. Further down the order in 21st, we've got Pukas, 22, Yoni Cotilla, 23rd, Gemini, 24, Bots, 25, Kid. After that, in 26th, we have Yari Cotilla, 27th, we have Mega, 28th, Yes, Jintas, 29th, we've got our own, Thilo Falk, Gutsoini behind that, Kig, Scattle, Rocky 7-Up, Chris McElroy starting 34th, Texas, far behind his teammates, his Team Rock Racing teammates, 35th. Then 36th, we have Pekka Koivunen. Twin after that, Minvi, Gustus, and at the back, we've got Mr. Fetch starting 40th place.
Thank you for running down the order there, Travis. And yeah, we'll be getting underway very shortly, I imagine, for the start of the first of two 30-lap races this evening. what we have for you coming up tomorrow to celebrate the 50th broadcast here on Sim Broadcasts is a special event tomorrow night starting at 8 o'clock UTC, where the Sim Broadcast team will be doing some pickup racing streamed to you for hopefully some funny moments there. And then we'll open up the server at around about 9 o'clock UTC for more pickup races with you guys broadcast in the usual format here on Twitch. So hopefully that's something to look forward to tomorrow evening, live here from 8 o'clock UTC. Keep an eye on the usual channels, the forum and Discord servers tomorrow for information on that. You can also find out more details, of course, on our social media. We're on all the usual platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And of course, you can follow us and subscribe to us on Twitch. Thank you very much for your support. Now, we have a bit of an announcement to make as well, Travis, because in a few weeks' time, we will be broadcasting the MRC BF1 League. Sign-ups are open. You can go to the LFS forum and sign up for this. It's a 5-round series streamed live by us, and it begins on Saturday the 22nd of November. We'll be streaming the qualifying sessions as well as the 75-minute race sessions, all 5 rounds live here throughout November, December and January. So our first events on the calendar for 2021, which is quite exciting, Travis.
It is exciting, and I'm pleased and excited myself to say that I'll be calling those races with Adam Brown. Pete is helping to organize. We Adam and I will be with you for the entire 5-race series, calling those for you here on Sim Broadcasts.
Yeah, we can't wait for that. It's going to be an exciting one. This has come together over the last few days, which is really nice. So yeah, big news here in the Team Racing Championship. Gavin Peat accidentally missed qualifying, Travis. The driver who is second place in the Teams Championship with only 4 rounds to go missed qualifying and therefore will not be able to compete in this round, which is huge for his championship hopes.
It is. I would call that a brutal mistake.
Yeah,
and I assume he's not allowed. I assume he's not permitted to start from the back at the director's discretion. He is out.
He is out. There are 40 drivers qualified and there are only 40 spots on the grid. So Gavin Peat will not be racing this evening. That will be good news for Japan, I suppose, but bad news for Team Up Racing on the whole. Because yeah, wow, well, that's a big error. So yeah. All drivers who wanted to settle that needed to be in the server, and he missed it. So Team Up Racing's championship hopes are looking a little bit in disarray.
They are. It's not over yet. A lot can happen, especially in oval racing.
Absolutely.
I recall years ago doing the Kyoto 500 that started with carnage, and I have seen other Kyotos 500 and 250s that had just as much excitement.
So Thilo, 30 seconds to go until the start of the race. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm getting nervous. I mean, I have 28 cars in front of me, but still there are 11 cars behind me. Let's survive, I guess.
Yeah, we've got your view on stream currently, so we'll see if we can stay on board with you for the start of this race, and we'll have to drop on board with Jack at some point as well. So yeah, a couple of seconds remaining before the start of the race then. No bump drafting allowed for this race, Travis. So that's quite an important factor, because normally in oval racing we see quite a lot of bump drafting. It is the fastest way around the track. And yeah, it's a standing start as well. Very unusual.
It makes a surprising difference, yeah. And the standing start is, I mean, normally in oval racing, you're at speed and it's pretty tight, but you know, everybody's bringing the speed up together. Anything can happen in a standing start. So all the cars close together, and then going around the track at high speed. It's going to be an exciting start.
Here we go then, Travis, for the start of race number 1 here in the Team Up Racing Championship, round 41. The cars are on the grid in what looks to be the wrong order. So I guess we're going to have a bit of a restart here. Don't think anyone was expecting a reverse grid race for race number 1.
No, certainly not.
So while the grid is set, we will take a very quick break and we'll be back in just a few moments' time. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the beginning of race number 1, a slightly weird restarted session. Before we do get going for the start of the race, let's quickly have a look back at the championship standings. In the driver's standings, this is where it's going to go haywire today. Jan Bukowski leading by 42 points ahead of Gavin Peat, who isn't here. Nika Pantola and Rick Cardle will like that news because it means that they can gain a few points on Gavin Peat. They're in third and fourth, respectively. Jari Katila, Trespasser, Pekka Koivunen, Joni Katila, Chris McElroy, and Michael Malik round out the top 10. And David Godge and Timu Soini there rounding out the top 12. Over in the team standings, we have Yes Motorsport leading by 7 points ahead of Team Racing, who are a man down today. World Class Lions, the only other team able to lift the trophy in 4 rounds' time. Then it's Race Green, Born to Race, Master Race Car, TC Racing, Road Appraiser, Sidus, NRT, Virtual Energy Racing, and Conquest Racing rounding out the top 12 in the team's championship. Travis, I think we're just about to get going here for the start of race 1. How do we reckon that's going to go with 40 cars thundering round Oval Turn 1?
Well, 40 cars standing start on any circuit would be pretty exciting. But here on an oval, I'm not sure what to expect. It's unconventional for an oval to do a standing start. These cars aren't as quick as some of the other cars that we typically see going around in oval racing. But the track is nice and wide. There's plenty of room for the cars to move around. I mean, we've seen these guys go around for the last few weeks. They're mostly pretty well behaved. I think they'll use the space. I think we'll have a few bumps, a few shimmies, but otherwise, I expect it to be a clean start. In any case, I hope we don't see a red flag. We want nice, clean racing from the very start through to the finish.
Here, here. The final few drivers are readying up, and we'll be getting going here any minute now. Thanks for your patience here this evening after a little bit of a botched qualifying session ending where the grid was accidentally reversed. We're ready to go.
That arguably would have made for a more exciting start and a more exciting race. Some of the drivers quickly protested. I don't think they would have found it as exciting or entertaining as we might have, Pete.
No, potentially not, but we do have the reverse grid second race to look forward to in around about 30 minutes time. Just waiting for Trespasser to ready up. There he goes, and we are go. Let's turn our attention to the track then and get this show on the road. So it's a good sight seeing all these cars on the grid. 40 cars starting this race, of course. Here come the lights. We are green. And TJ leads the 40 car field away, followed by Beirut and Trespasser for Yes Motorsport. Hopefully they get away cleanly and find their own space before we get to Oval Turn 3, which is where things start to get a little bit spicy.
Looking back through the order, most of the cars have fallen into single file line. There's a little bit of passing going on. Further back, Joni Katila, Boaz Pukas in a bit of a battle. Some jockeying for position coming through Oval Turn 2, but for the most part, cars appear to be well behaved back through the order.
Yeah, this gaggle of cars with the Global Gaming cars here. There's 2 World Class Lions cars involved there as well. There's Boz leading this pack 3 wide as we head into Oval Turn 3. 4 wide nearly in that diamond formation. TJ also 3 wide across the start-finish line with Beirut and Trespasser as Trespasser takes the lead on the inside line there. So Yes Motorsport lead Road Appraiser, then it's Beirut, then Yes Motorsports Unite in P4 closing up. Unite no stranger to oval racing, of course, as we've got a car on the wall. That's Arco for Team Rock Racing, heavy into the wall on the outside, and everyone tries to swarm past him. Luckily, no one collected him there, as TJ takes over the lead in the draft battle at the front.
Cars getting much closer together now coming into turn 3. The leaders have gapped a little bit, but further back there is a huge group of cars running side by
Kit
side
was
through
spun
turn 3.
around.
Okay, so Thilo's giving us some information. Elmo in the wall there as well. So this formation at the front with going to be more 3-wide action. Oh, across start finish line. That wasn't Elmo, that was Adam, my mistake. Oh no, it wasn't, it was Jack. There's so many TC Racing drivers out on the track today, it's so difficult to keep track of who's who. As Unite sets the fastest lap, he's side by side with Beirut. He's up to P4. And
Our own
there's Japan in the background.
Our own Thilo Falk further back is doing a little bit of bumping and rubbing with the cars around him. Not really much of his own doing. He's doing his best to stay out of the way while cars are moving around him. Pete, this is pretty exciting.
Absolutely, we ride on board with Thilo as he goes around the final corner then, or oval turn 3. He's looking at that up ahead, and he's got cars all around him. Thilo, do you want to talk us through
Yeah,
it?
that's the problem. Cars everywhere. I mean, I have the advantage of a radar system with LFS Lazy.
Thilo trying his best to avoid bump drafting there, which, as we said earlier, is in the rules. You're not allowed to do that. I don't believe that was Thilo's fault. The car in front of him slowed down, but he's Thilo, this looks very exciting. We will let you focus on it.
Thanks.
Further up the field, Jack's getting involved as well. He was in the wall. He got wobbled out wide into the wall a couple of laps ago, and he's got heavy front right damage there. Yeah, I think we can go on board with Jack and show you what he's seeing right now. Obviously he's using VR so he can look around to see who's around him. That's a World Class Lines car of Boz who's just got past. And up ahead it's all going off.
At the front, Trespasser took the lead. He and TJ are working together to extend their lead over the cars behind them. They have broken the draft to P3. It is Trespasser and TJ working together to forge ahead.
Yeah, using the draft to good effect. The cars behind, led currently by Unite, then you've got Beirut and Japan. Jan Bukowski there then leading the championship in P5. Side by side with Beirut now. And yeah, these three need to work together if they have any hope of catching Trespasser and TJ up ahead.
Beirut got it a bit wrong going into turn 3 and scrubbed off some speed. Japan tried to get alongside him. Obviously, that is the slowest way around the track. Running light astern and carefully trading positions is the fastest way around the track. You can see that Unite is unable to keep up with the two cars ahead of him working together, while now he needs to wait for Beirut and Japan to move up with him, work together in the draft, and see if they can close the gap to the leaders.
Further back behind them, there's two groups of three as there's contact between Yaroslav Donolik and that would be Fast as they hit the wall there, and these two groups then combine. The two global gaming cars of Eskimos and Erotica in the mix here, side by side with the two Yes Motorsports drivers. There's contact against the wall. They're not leaving each other much room.
The margins are so tight when they're trying to drive the car off the corner, especially with the aero disturbance of the cars ahead. They want to drive the car as hard as they can off turn 3, but the corner is relatively flat. The car doesn't want to grip very well, so it drifts, wide toward the wall. And if there's a car out there, it's really hard to maintain speed. They, like the cars ahead of them, would do well to work together, but it is a race. They're jockeying for position. They're doing their best to finish as well as they possibly can. As there's more contact ahead, Hero Loco just barely getting into Erotica, the three of them running nose to tail into turn 3, with Rick Cardall trying to get by them on the bottom.
Yeah, this is a crazy pack here. These two global gaming cars have made their way through, and that's Rick Cardall then, yes, as you said. He's in the mix as well now. As Japan takes the fastest lap and is currently in P4. But yeah, they're some way off, aren't they? As there's yet more contact between the two global gaming cars and Yaroloco there, the number 2.
looking back again to our own Thilo Falk, car got into the wall. I didn't see who it was. Car got into the wall ahead of him, and he was able to sneak by and get a little bit of a buffer behind him now. The cars ahead of him working together reasonably well. Hopefully Thilo can make up some of this time, get back in the draft, and work with them to try to go forward. Things have settled down for Thilo a little bit. Thilo, how do you feel?
Yeah, it's nice to have the first lap with some clean air. I mean, I see the cars in front of me battling quite a lot. 3 wide into turn 3 is not a good sight for me. I need to be cautious here now, because the bottom line is washing out usually to the outside, but Kick manages to keep the car on a nice and tidy line, and I'm back in his slipstream.
Yeah, let's see what sort of moves you can make here. You've got an absolute train of cars ahead of you here.
At the front, Trespasser has taken TJ. Sorry, no, Trespasser has taken the lead from TJ again. They are working together really, really well. They're doing a good job. Bit of a bump. TJ gets into Trespasser going into turn 3, but doesn't lose too much time. They are sticking together really well, working together beautifully to gap the cars behind them. They're building a big lead on P3 and the cars further back.
Nice move that, Thilo, and you've got another car to overtake here as well.
Going into turn 1, Ricardol is side by side, bumping doors with Erotica. There's a car going around. Fast nearly lost it. Car was fully sideways, opposite lock, turning the car to the right to keep it back on the track. He just managed to keep the car off the grass and then out of the wall when it came back across, and avoided all of the cars that were going by him. That was a scary moment.
Yeah, he's going to lose another place to his teammate if he's not careful. Yellow Loco there all over the back of him, just choosing not to send it into oval turn 3. And we've got yet more diamond formation behind as young Tommy B leads 2 Born to Race cars, and there's a huge crash. That's Michael Malik. He's off. I know that was it? Yes, it was Michael Malik into basically the pit lane. And it looks
really
like Jack's been caught up in this as well. Yeah, Jack driving slowly now then. He's lost a ton of places. That was a huge accident.
Oh, some other car in the wall.
Japan and Unite are working together, and they've pulled a bit of a gap over Beirut at the front. Hopefully that carnage won't cause any trouble for the leading packs. But yeah, that was an unfortunate incident there where 3 doesn't go into 1 as they exited oval turn 3, and they just crushed each other into the wall and exploded.
Ayub was caught in that as well. His car is very badly damaged. He's got the hazard lights on, trying to bring the car back around to the pits. Michael was very unlucky. He got flipped over on his lid and then skidded at speed into pit lane. So the insult of an accident and then the added injury of getting a pit lane speeding violation.
Yeah, up front, Trespasser and TJ are doing a very good job of using that slipstream to good effect to stay ahead of Unite and Jaban. But Jaban, with the fastest lap here, he definitely... these two seem to be working quite well together as we approach half distance in race number 1.
They really are. This is as near as you can get to oval racing perfection and live to speed. They're doing a good job trading positions. They're out of each other's way by the time they go into a corner so that the other car can tuck in behind, use the slipstream to gain a little bit of momentum going through the corner, and then make the pass before the next corner. They're working really, really well together. This is how it's done.
Young Tommy V for Team Rock Racing then. He's the second highest placed Team Rock Racing driver. He's in a battle with Fast and Yara Loco. He's over the back of Fast at the moment, tucks to the inside, makes that place. But yeah, these two need to work together in draft formation to try and close up to the back of the yellow and red Yes Motorsport car of Yara Loco, who himself is trying to catch up to Yaroslav Donlik and Rick Kyle. I can hear some cars crunching in the background. Guessing Faster is involved there. As I believe we've lost Thilo from the race. Hopefully better luck in race 2 for Thilo Falkenberg.
Another TC Racing driver, Jack Eyre, has managed to hobble it back to pit lane, and it looks like he has also just left the race.
Not a good outing then for the Sim Broadcast commentary team in the race, but fun to have them riding around and having a bit of fun with their onboards as well.
It is, and we still have a couple TC Racing drivers out on the track. Chris McElroy and Adam are running together now. They should be able to work together, maybe make up some ground. I wanted to make a mention of Rick Cardall. He did not have an excellent qualifying session, but he has slowly been working his way toward the front. It looks to me like he's running in 8th place, 9th place. He's doing pretty well. A good outing for his Sidus Racing team. And the Team Rock Racing cars are, they've managed to mostly avoid the carnage. Arco had a bit of a moment early and has fallen back, but the rest of the Team Rock Racing drivers moving up in the order. Texas in particular had a very disappointing qualifying. He's now running in the middle of the pack. He's doing pretty well.
Yeah, this group of 3 here is quite intense. Yaroloco currently leading Jaroslav Donalik and Rick Cardle around. Yaroloco not able to get ahead on the straight, and that's given Yarda something to think about. You don't want a driver cutting to the inside on a straight and then not being able to get the move done before the corner, because you end up getting what's happened here, which is going to be a 3-wide across start finish.
Yeah, you can see, looking further back, you can see the difference in experience in the oval racing drivers. I watched Rocky 7 Up try to put a move on Chris McElroy going into turn 3 by taking the low line, and that just doesn't work. Keeping the momentum and keeping the pace high in oval racing depends entirely on timing, and the leaders are obviously doing a very good job of it. Further back, not as much experience, but everyone doing a pretty good job for the most part to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, TJ and Trespass are doing exactly what they need to do. They're rivals, but in oval racing you have to work together to pull ahead of your other rivals and settle your battle on the last lap, when you've got the space to do that. Jaban looks like he's in a solid P3 at the moment. He's lost Unite, his draft partner. Beirut is now behind him and catching, and Unite's being caught by one of the global gaming cars. That's Escamus.
Hard to tell in the onboard, but I would expect Jaban is eased off ever so slightly. He doesn't want to stay out of the throttle because he wants to keep the power up, but he may drag the brake ever so slightly in spots to let Beirut catch up to him so that they can work together and try to move forward. I anticipate it'll be very difficult for them. TJ and Trespasser are putting on an oval racing clinic. Barring a catastrophe or something entirely unexpected, I think the two of them will continue running away at the front and then have a race on the last lap to determine who the winner is.
Yeah, important points for Yas Motorsport, and if Jaban can stay where he is, then important points for him as well in the championship. Of course, with his teammate and championship rival Gavin Peat not in attendance. But yeah, Escamas is doing a good job here. Him and Unite need to work together to catch Beirut now, because Beirut is on his own. So is Jaban. If Jaban can lift off and maybe let Beirut work with him, then that might work well for them, because we are only just over halfway through this race.
Escamas doing a bit of bump drafting there. I don't know if that was accidental or not. He didn't time the pass into turn 2 very well and is now trying to make the pass down low in turn 3, which isn't going to work. They're going to end up side by side coming through the tri-oval.
Yeah, I think accidental touching is fine, but if you're, prolonged bumping is just not allowed in the Team Racing Championship. As Escamas finally makes that move.
He does. Behind them, Rick Cardall has gone through, making a 3-wide pass. Oh, drifts up the racetrack into the middle line, and Donalik goes down below him. He nearly took out Jaroloco. All 3 of them on the horns, letting each other know how they feel about one another's driving. It looks to me like Rick Cardall is quicker, certainly more confident than the drivers ahead of him, but it's challenging to find a way around to move forward without someone to work together with.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're drafting with 3 people and you're not getting the most optimum passing, you end up being caught by individual drivers and groups of 2 behind you. So this group of 3 isn't working well at the moment, as Jaroloco has a bit of a gap now over Rick Cardall and Jaroslav Donalik.
Behind them, Gemini and Young Tommy B are definitely catching. Gemini had kind of a wide line through turn 1. He got quite a bit of overspeed on the draft going into turn 1, but Young Tommy B very smartly took the wider line. He'll carry plenty of speed into turn 2 here. Gemini, if he's wise, will back out just a little bit and then use the momentum off the turn in order to draft up to him coming out of turn 3 so they can do it again into turn 1. They're clearly catching the cars ahead of them because they're working together much better, not running 3 wide through the turns, not trying to pass without the extra momentum they gain from the draft. But it will be difficult for them to get ahead and then forge up to the leaders. I don't know that they have enough time nor the pace.
Yeah, side by side across the line for Gemini and young Tommy B, and you can see that that gap is visibly coming down to the cars ahead now. Those 3 ahead just aren't working well together. And in the 10 laps that they've got left, let's see if they can catch them. Japan and Beirut haven't bunched up either. They're still running independently, but it doesn't look like Beirut, although Beirut has caught slightly, I think, but Eskimos and Unite have fallen apart as well.
I imagine Japan's getting a little bit frustrated with Beirut not able to catch up. Likewise, Beirut probably a bit frustrated, not able to catch up and work together. If were I in his position, I would expect him to ease off just a little bit so that we could find some way to work a draft to get to the leaders. But they, whether or not they're happy to do so, they do appear to be stuck running in line while the leaders get away from them.
Yeah, and if ever you wanted a lesson on drafting effectively on the oval, you just have to turn your attention to the front, as we've got a car smoking its rear tyres through the final corner. Trespasser electing not to go for the move because of it. Not sure who it is. But anyway, the leaders make their way past that.
Looking further down the order, there is a gaggle of cars coming through turn 3. Augustus, Scattle, Paropo, Twin, Kig, and Ayub all running together. They've been dicing it up a little bit. Now running a couple passes going on. We're running in line through turn 3. Ayub must have come in and gotten repairs. Because his car is not crabbing like it was before. He had gotten into the wall pretty hard in the earlier accident and had to put on the hazard lights and bring the car around to the pits. Now running down the order, but in the pack with everyone else.
Arco then, after that big collision with the wall on the earlier laps, he's currently in position 23, not the race he would have expected or wanted, especially in the teams championship. It's looking good for Yes Motorsport, 2nd, 6th and 8th currently, and Team at Racing P3 and P11 in race 1.
It's point in order to take the points. Unite and Haraloco should really be mindful of their finishing position, not dice too much for to gain more positions and more points, because they have, as it runs, they have a comfortable lead over Team Rock Racing. They're doing, as you said, much better than their competitors.
It's going to be a gaggle of 4 cars at the end of this race, from P9 down to P12. Currently being led by Yaroslav Donalik there on the low line, with Gemini on the high line. And that's young Tommy B coming through. He was in P11, he's now in this pack. Moves to the inside for oval turn 3. This doesn't work. And Gemini also trying to get past now. Bit of contact with the wall. 5 to go here in race 1. Trespasser and TJ, nothing to choose between those two. That battle will be decided on the last lap unless they mess it up, which it doesn't look like they're going to do. This group of 4 is quite interesting though. Travis?
It is. Rick Arnold's managed to get ahead of them, but he's still being stymied somewhat by not having a good drafting partner. So he'll have to decide if he wants to keep these guys behind them and let them fight and lose time, or try to be selective about finding someone to go with them. It's really difficult when you're running at speed and everyone is dicing and fighting. I don't know that he'll be able to find much more, but he is putting on a pretty impressive show, doing his best to try to find his way to the front when the circumstances aren't really working in his favor. Ahead of him, Haraloka's got a bit of a gap.
He does, yeah.
And Unite just running with Erotica. I think these two should be able to. They certainly can't coast to the end, but they are in a more comfortable position where they don't have to worry about incidents as much as they might have earlier in the race. They'll take good points.
Rick Cardle moves to the head of this quartet then. Gemini and Yaroloco side by side behind them. Thilo thinks that TJ and Trespasser might start battling for position. The tactics might start coming out because they have a big enough gap over Japan. P3 now, with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, so they've been in a rhythm the entire race where they just keep trading positions, and it's once you get into that rhythm and you feel the rhythm, it's really easy to just keep trading back and forth to keep the pace up, to gap the cars behind, and forge ahead. But as you said, as it gets later in the race, they will start to strategize a little bit to figure out where they want to pass. Trespasser may decide that he doesn't want to pass down the front stretch here. He'll do some calculation to figure out, when the passing leads him to an advantageous position on the final lap. And TJ will try to do the same. He will be looking for places to let Trespasser by, where it may cost Trespasser a little bit of time on a couple passes further down the road. So this will be exciting to see how they sort this out and who comes out on top at the end.
Importantly, Rick Cardle's managed to gap Yaroslav Donalik and Gemini. And also young Tommy B's dropped off massively from this group. So unless Gemini and Donalik can work together to catch back up to Rick, I think that battle is neutralised for now. The only thing that remains there is who will finish ahead of who, Gemini or Donalik. Let's turn our attention to the front then as we head on to the final lap. We've got TJ leading Trespasser. This is where everything they've been working for over the last few laps goes out the window, because now who's going to hold the low line out of the last corner on the next time around? Currently it's Trespasser leading.
This will be complicated somewhat by having the lap traffic in front of them. They will absolutely try to use Yari Katila to their advantage. TJ looks low to make a pass. Yari Katila is not really trying to get out of the way. I'm a little surprised by that, but he's making it complicated for TJ and Trespasser to decide their strategy to come around for the final lap.
That's affected the race a bit, hasn't it? I mean, Yari Katila could have taken a wide line in the middle of the lap, but let's see if TJ can make that work across the start finish. I don't think he's going to be close enough. That's had an effect, unfortunately. Trespasser does win ahead of TJ as they head across the start-finish line in a flurry of smoke. Then it was close behind. Japan, Beirut, Eskimos, Erotica and Unite. It was close between Erotica and Unite. They were side by side across the line. Heroloco for Yes Motorsport P8, then it's Rick Cardle P9, MRC Gemini P10. Yaroslav Donalik not able to get past Gemini in the end, and young Tommy B drops off the back of that group of 4, finishes P12. Then it's Mimv and Pukis for Global Gaming. Then Chris Picaro with a decent result, the top of the 4 TC Racing drivers here today in P15. Yoni Katila for World Class Lions in P16. Then it's Rocky 7 Up and Mega for Team Rock Racing. World Class Lions, Pekka Koivunen and Texas round out the top 20. Then it's Michael Malik. Sorry, no, it's not. Then it is Timu Soini, Arco, Adam Scattle, Gustas, Yari Katila, Mr. Fetch, Kaike Propo, Kevin for Master Race Car, and Twin rounding out the top 30. Then it's Michael Malik, Kid, Simjin Tass, Boz, and Ayub. So we only lost 5 drivers. Quite a few of the drivers elected to go to the pit lane and try and repair and recover something from this race, Travis.
Yeah, they did. A lot of cars on track at the end. Obviously, a lap or two back. But I'm impressed that everybody decided to make repairs and keep driving. It was a pretty clean race. Obviously, it's a very difficult combination. The car doesn't have a whole lot of grip, but it's fast enough. It's fast enough to get around, to get down the straights and then into the corners where you have to slow the car down and drive it very carefully. But most everyone did pretty well. It was pretty clean. It's a shame that at the front, Jari Katila didn't get out of the way. He's more experienced and he is more skilled than that. I think we heard the horns blaring from Trespasser and TJ as they were coming around for the final lap. Obviously frustrated with the lapped car. They may have some opinions for Jari. I don't think he meant anything by it. But it is a shame that we didn't get quite the battle at the finish that we anticipated when they were coming around with 2 or 3 laps to go.
Yeah, it all comes down to that awareness, I think, and Jari Katila's experience. I don't think he meant to get in the way, but it definitely had an effect in the end, which is unfortunate. But yeah, well deserved for Trespasser. He did everything he needed to do there, and TJ likewise for Road Appraiser. A great result. Jaban picks up some crucial points for his championship battle over his teammate. He is in P3. Beirut with a strong result in P4. He only, I think he's started where he finished where he started, didn't he?
I'm not sure. Close, if not right on the same position.
2 drivers who did extremely well, the global gaming cars of Eskimos and Erotica. I don't know whether they were trying to get close together, being teammates, but it's whatever happened, it certainly worked. And likewise between Unite and Yaroloco, they were separated for quite a lot of the race, but yeah, a strong result for those 2 teams, both inside the top 10. We've got 3 minutes to go, Travis, before the start of race 2. So I'm going to quickly bring the audience up to speed on what's happening on Sim broadcasts over the next couple of days and weeks. Tomorrow we are celebrating our 50th broadcast, which is tonight actually, but yeah, we're celebrating it with some fun events. Tomorrow it's our turn to drive at 8 o'clock. The Sim broadcast team will be driving, doing some pickup racing and streaming that live on Twitch. Then at 9 o'clock we're going to open up the server for you guys to join in, and we will stream those races in the usual fashion here on Twitch. Keep an eye on our Facebook and Twitch Twitter tomorrow to find out details about that, and on the forum and Discord of course. Then looking forward to a couple of weeks time, we have the beginning of the MRC BF1 League. The sign-ups are open for this on the LFS forum. 5 rounds of Formula 1 racing in Live for Speed, kicking off here on Sim Broadcasts on Saturday the 22nd of November. A little bit before that though, we do have the return of the NDR TBO Challenge, which is happening this Sunday from 3 o'clock at Blackwood GP Reversed in the TBOs. Round 3 of the 4-round of the 6-round TBO Challenge season. That'll be here on the weekend on Sunday from 3 o'clock UTC. We hope you can join us for that. Back to tonight's action then. We have about 2 minutes left before the beginning of race 2, the reverse grid. Who do we expect to start at the front of that? I think it's going to be Ayub for Born to Race and Boz on the front row. Then it'll be Sim Jintas and Kid on row 2. Everybody else who DNF'd will start at the back behind Trespasser, who will start in P35. So Jack Eyre and Thilo Falkenberg will slot somewhere down there, our 2 camera cars this evening. So yeah, Thilo, what do you reckon for race 2? How do you think it's going to go?
So after my strategy of surviving failed in first race, I hope it works out better this time round. Yeah, but it's just racing that happens here. And I was actually surprised how well it went. I mean, I could have thought it was going to be a lot messier, but once the people got in the rhythm, it was fun to drive, and I mean, you caught me in the right moments.
Well, we're going to the track to those, so best of luck in race 2. Do you want to take us away for the start of race number 2, Travis Mehlinger? And we are going to take a quick break again, I think, because the grid has not been reversed. So it was reversed in qualifying and not reversed for the start of race 2. Whew.
Well, while we
That's
wait for the race director to sort that out and get the grid set, what do we expect from a reverse grid oval race, Pete?
Sorry, I need to get my breath back here. There's lots to look forward to, of course, down into oval turn 3, when you've got the drivers who are less experienced at doing that corner side by side, with the cars who are used to doing that side by side coming through. I don't want to jinx it, but I hope it's clean. And I hope we get away cleanly.
I'm excited to see what we get out of the leaders from the previous race, Trespasser and I've totally blanked. I'm sorry, TJ, Trespasser and TJ. They'll be starting near the back, but obviously worked together very, very well in the first race. They'll have the DNFs starting behind them, and then the cars that were trying to catch them in the previous race. I wonder how well they'll be able to work together to get around all of those slower cars. When it was a bit scrappy in the first race.
Yeah, scrappy is one way of saying it. I think that on the whole, considering there were 35 finishers, that's pretty good going, considering that most of the field here won't have done much oval racing in recent times. I think that's fair to say.
I'd say so, yes.
Yeah, oval racing not as popular as it once was in LFS. Back in the day when New Dimension Racing were organising the Kyoto 250 and things like that, it was a lot more popular, as well as the old Fragmasters BF1 and Fox Junkies servers that were primarily oval. There was also a phase where GT1s were popular on the oval as well, but it's been a number of years since the oval scene was as busy as the track racing scene in Live for Speed. So yeah, good to see 35 drivers finishing the race. Whether we'll see 35 drivers finishing race 2 remains to be seen. We're still gridding up then for the beginning of the second attempt at race 2 here. Hope to bring you that as soon as we can. And we'll get going for the second 30-lap race of the evening. And it does indeed look like Ayub and Boz will line up on the first and second row, Simjintas and Kid on row 2, Michael Malik and Twin on row 3, Kevin and Kaike Paroppo on row 4, Gum Garage's Mr. Fetch and Yari Katila on row 5, Gustas and Scattle row 6, Adam and Arco row 7, Soini and Texas row 8, Pekka Koivunen and Mega row 9, Rocky 7up and Yoni Katila row 10, Chris McElroy and Pukis on row 11, Mimv and Young Tommy B on row 12, Yaroslav Donalik and Gemini on row 13, Rick Cardle and Yaroloco on row 14, Unite and Erotica on row 15, Eskimos and Beirut row 16, Jaban and TJ on row 17, and Trespasser will be on row 18 with Gavin Pete, who joins for race 2. That's important. Gavin was able to join the server, and that'll be good to see him near his teammate actually at the start. Maybe those two will be able to work together and climb up the order and try and drop Trespasser. What do you reckon?
It'll be a tall order. I guess Trespasser and TJ were obviously very, very good getting around. Gavin is obviously a good driver, and a number of his teammates also very skilled drivers. But they've got a long way to go, and they have to get around two very quick guys who already demonstrated the talent in the first race. They do have the advantage as a team. There are a lot of Team Rock Racing drivers up at the front of the order for the reverse grid race, so the S drivers will have a lot of work to do to get by them to take the points in the second race. Likewise, the Team Rock Racing drivers just need to stay out of trouble to keep the S drivers behind them, and it will remain tight, perhaps down to the wire for the championship points.
Absolutely. We have a couple of drivers out of position, I think, on the grid. Beirut doesn't appear to be in the right place, so we might have a little bit more of a delay. Hopefully the drivers can sort this out so we can get racing again. Everybody else waiting patiently. 39 cars for race 2.
Pete, I've missed this at some point, so perhaps you can explain it to me and viewers.
Uh-huh.
Gavin Pete missed the first race because he wasn't in the server for qualifying. How is it that he's able to start the second race from the back? Is that at the director's discretion?
Yeah, and also because some people who were around for race 1 have since disconnected from the server, so there is a space on the grid for him. There's still a space left on the grid for anybody else, actually. But we are readying up, so perhaps not. Beirute's in position. All the drivers have readied up, and we are racing for race number 2 here, a reverse grid 30-lap race around the Kyoto Ring Oval in the XRT. My, this is going to be exciting. Horns blaring already. Always good. There's Born to Race Abe and Boz on the front row of the grid. We're just waiting for the lights then. Here they come. And we are green for the start of race 2. Abe pulls away in front of Boz, and then this stream of 39 cars follow them through. Awesome to see a full grid. And here we go. Simjintas immediately on the attack around the outside of Boz. Side by side as we head down to oval turn 2.
Looking down the order, the cars were mostly in single file going through turn 1. Now a little bit of dicing starting to happen. There's a car very low, down to the apron and then back up into the wall. I couldn't see who it was, but managed to avoid gathering up any cars. Everyone's still going forward.
Looks like Simjintas hasn't had a good start. He's losing places left, right and centre. He's down to P8 already. As Abe also has not had a good start. Oh no, Abe's still out in the lead, my mistake. Abe's had a great start. It's Kid who's had a great start. Boz is still there as well. Michael Malik has joined the podium. Oh, and he's actually taken Kid out. Kid spears off into the wall. He got a bit wobbly. Hopefully he can recover that. Just about. Needs to be careful how he rejoins though. So Abe comfortably in the lead. Michael Malik followed by Boz. We were losing quite a lot of cars here, it looks like. Cars dropping down the order side by side again between Michael and Boz. That's just not what you want to see, especially when all the cars are coming through behind. And yet more contact. We've got a car facing the wrong way, and this is going to be a dreadful accident we're about to see, potentially. No, everybody actually makes their way through. That was Scattle weaving his way through there. And Twin was the car that was facing the wrong way. Katao Crawkin.
A lot of cars got up in that accident in turn 2. Thilo Falk, our own Thilo Falk was one of those. He is now running at the back. Looked like Chris McElroy and Jack may have gotten caught up it as well. The Yes drivers appear to have survived it. I see them moving up the order. Japan and TJ quite a bit further up the order than them, caught up to Rick Cardall. They're nearly halfway through the grid now, so that's looking pretty good for TJ and Japan. Trespasser struggling further back behind his teammate.
Yeah, Jack's actually had quite a good start. He's up to P25 from the back, which is good. And yeah, like you said,
he got through that accident very well.
Okie doke. Adam side by side with Pekka Koivunen. No, my mistake. That's Arco that he's side by side with. And Arco being overtaken there by Scattle, who did very well to avoid that incident before. And Arco into the wall again. He's done that a couple of times in this evening's racing. And that's Yoni Katila who's snatched that position away.
Scattle coming by Adam, going to have to dive low into turn 3. That's not the quick line around the track, so he's going to scrub off some speed. We'll see if our own Adam can carry the speed off the corner, get a little bit of help from Yoni Katila behind him. It looks like they will. They carry the momentum through the corner. A lot of world-class Lions drivers at the front. They started near the front. They've stayed near the front, Pete.
Yep, That's what happens when you don't have such a good first race. You end up with a good start in the second race, and that just so happened that the World Class Lions drivers all kind of bunched up at the back of the last race, and here they are at the front of the second race as Adam sends a return move on Yoni Katila. Yeah, Scattle learned the hard way there about the low line into turn 3. He's probably going to try it again here. He's on the inside of Yoni Katila, pulls into the slipstream and goes low again. So it comes back to what you were saying before about oval experience. It does look like he's actually almost made it work that time. No, he hasn't.
So oval experience is showing in a different and interesting way in this race. You'll note that Ayub is way out front and extending his lead. He's able to run clean laps in clean air without worry of any cars around him, and the cars behind are not working together. Were they working together, they would actually be able to go quite a bit faster than he is out front in clean air. But because they don't have the rhythm, they're not passing one another and using the draft to their advantage. Ayub is actually extending his lead. He's gained 4/10 this lap just running by himself while the cars behind fight.
Yeah, and there's a huge gaggle of world-class Lions cars here, and there was a slow one, and Adam has just been massively caught out there as he rides up into the wall. I think that was no, it wasn't Pekka Koivunen. Who was it? Was it possibly Yoni Katila? Not sure, but one of the world-class Lions drivers there, a little bit slow through over turn 3. Adam got caught out and sandwiched between two of them, and that's not ended up being good for the TC Racing driver there.
It's hard to say whether that was deliberate or not, but Adam made a smart move there as he was getting squeezed and the car was getting away from him. He eased out of the throttle and let the car ride the wall and avoided a bigger accident with contact with one of the cars. So that compromised him a little bit, but he's back on the pace now.
Speaking of people who are back on the pace, Jaban and Rick Cardle have carved their way through the field from the back. Jaban up to P16. And I wonder where our leaders are. I mean, the leaders from the last race, TJ and Trespasser, have barely made any progress at all. They're still down in the high 20s. Trespasser P28, and TJ, in fact, is only 2 places off the back. He's in 33rd.
Yeah, they were involved in the earlier accident. Haralogo just got into the wall and Trespasser wasn't able to catch up. He's obviously struggling, and even further behind them, TJ, who finished second in the earlier race, was running so well together with Trespasser to gap the cars behind. Yep, he got caught up and is not having a good race now.
Yeah, Eve's got a stonking lead here, and Kig and Gustash they're trying to work together. Gustash hits the wall there a little bit. That's not going to help as we lose a car from P9. Not sure who that was.
Adam.
TC Racing Adam, okay.
Meanwhile, from the very back, with a little bit of damage, I think he was caught up somewhat in the carnage further behind, Gavin Pete has managed to make up about 12 or 13 positions from the very back of the grid to get points for Team Rock Racing. He's got Jack on him right now. Jack gets into the wall, a little bit aggressively going through turn 1, loses the time, gives Gavin Pete a bit of breathing room to catch the car ahead.
Lag hit, Jack, okay. We're riding on board with you, Jack. How's your race going?
Not bad, from the back. Pretty decent so far. Me and Gavin are very similar on pace at this point in the race, but that's what happens when you get too close to the back of him. Hopefully I can catch him up. Let's see how things go. Much better than last race, I must say.
Well, you're still in this race, so hopefully you can stay in it for another 20 laps.
Absolutely.
Kevin made up another spot there. He's moving forward. Scattle got it all wrong in turn 3. Nearly got it sideways, the right rear of the car into the wall and gathered it up. Kevin Pete was able to cruise by. And he's catching up his teammate, Texas, who is just ahead of Yes Gentes.
So far, so good for Team Rock Racing in this race. They've got 3 of their drivers up there, Arco, Mega and Jaban. And Yes Motorsport are still outside the top 20. Even though there are fewer points on offer in race 2, this is still important for Team Rock Racing. If Arco can do the good work here and keep that position he's in, or even gain a few more, and try and drag his teammate with him, Mega, who switched from MRC to TRR for this race.
At the front again, Ayub is continuing to extend the gap to
Three
King
wide.
Augustus behind.
Sorry to interrupt, 3 wide there. Jaban made a great move up the inside of Eskimas and Mega. So yeah, there's 3 Team Up Racing drivers running together now, with Eskimas in the mix, and a side-by-side contact.
Contact turn 3.
Mega spins and narrowly avoids being collected there by a couple of other drivers. That was sketchy, but not what Team Up Racing needed, unfortunately, as Jack there swings past.
Jack, you saw that happen. Tell us what it looked like from your perspective.
I think I just missed it. I was looking at my Apex instead. Happy to pick a place up though, P17 at the moment.
Yeah, you've got Elmo
Mega
right
did
behind you.
Mega did really well to gather it up, and everyone else who was coming by also did really well to avoid him. I think there was a little bit of contact. He's sideways again in turn 1. I wonder if he's
Yeah, his
overheated
tyres
the
are cooked.
tires a little bit.
His tyres are cooked. If you get a drift on through oval turn 3 and keep your foot pinned, it's game over, and he's lost it into the wall.
Oh, and he's done it again. He very politely disconnected as he lost control of the car there. He had Trespasser bearing down on him. That would have been the icing on Trespasser's awful race cake had he gotten gathered up there. Very kind of him to disconnect before he caused a bigger accident.
Side by side across the line as we begin lap 13. Rick Cardle and Arco. Rick Cardle into the top 10 then.
The gap keeps getting bigger in front. Ayub has Beirut behind him now. Beirut has stuck behind him. The gap has been consistent since Beirut came out of the pits. I don't know that it will make much difference for them. I don't imagine they will work together. I think Beirut will probably just hang out with someone to drive with for the duration of the race. But Gustus and Kig still not working together as effectively as they could, allowing Ayub to extend his lead. He is cruising as we approach the halfway point. Pete.
Yeah, it's interesting you said about Gustash and Kig. You know, it's so important to work together so that you can catch these drivers that are lapping on their own ahead. It's so much quicker to drive in on the oval with help, but if it's not effective, then it's slower. These two drivers just don't seem to be getting it together right now.
No, it shows in the split times too. Kig did a 17:02 split around halfway around the circuit. Ayub's been doing 16.8s consistently, 2/10ths quicker around the first split, and about the same around the second split. And unless these two figure it out, it's going to be Ayub going the distance easily. Behind them, cars getting strung out. Yannick Attila has gapped the cars behind him. That's not the fastest way around, but he does have a teammate, Pekka Koivunen, behind him, who, if he could allow him to catch up, they would be able to work together. Yannick Attila with Erotica and Juban and Rick Cardle behind them. Juban and Rick Cardle making up a lot of spots to get closer to the front.
Contact there between Yannick Attila and Erotica. That could have been messy, and Jaban will be liking the look of that. He's tearing up behind these guys now. Here he goes, backs out of it. As we've got a car on the high line. Looks like one of the World Class Lines cars. Yeah, very differing lines, but Jaban's going to make up a place on Erotica.
It looked like Erotica just didn't want to give up the position, which is kind of silly because all it does is waste time, and it's just let Jaban comfortably through. He kept the momentum up. Now he's going to block into turn 1. No, he thinks better of it, lets Erotica through, takes the wider line.
Oh, Erotica drifts wide and tags Jaban though. Not able to hold the low line. Yeah, Jaban's going to be finding this quite distracting. The last thing he needs in his championship is being taken out from 7th place by a less experienced oval driver. Jaban with a good line there. And Erotica drops back into the clutches of Rick Cardle, who now draws alongside him.
Jack Eyre has found himself in the middle of an exciting fight. Cars dicing behind him and also ahead of him. He's made up a bunch of positions. He's closing in on the top 10 from near the very back. Jack, how's it going?
Oh, it's not going bad, gents. How's it looking from where you're sat?
You're currently in your lucky number 13 position.
That's good then. Unfortunately, 13 was taken for the car number, so I squared it. You wondering where 169's come from? Just trying to follow Gavin Pete forward. He's a couple cars ahead of me right now. I seem to have the pace to overtake, especially into turn 3. I think I'm lifting a little bit earlier, but not as much as the drivers around me. And I can get on the power a bit earlier, and it's just about controlling the rear then. You see a few getting up into the wall.
Yeah, it's Michael Mallett you just got past there.
And it's all about looking after your tyres. Turn 3 is everything else is completely flat out, so where
How
all
are
the
the
drama
tires?
happens. They seem
How are
okay
the
at the
tires?
moment.
Is it
Managing the
difficult to
temperature.
manage?
Last race it was, because once they get out of control, they really do get out of control. But so far, so good this time around.
Good deal. Well, we'll let you get to it. Concentrate. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
We caught him on board at the right time. He made up a couple
Did.
spots, and he's looking forward, trying to catch up to Gavin
P11
Pete.
now. Yeah, got past Erotica there, and looking to catch up to Escamas and Gavin Pete. So there's contact behind, in fact. Erotica in the wall. That's going to be side by side action there. That's Texas, who is the big gainer there actually. The Global Gaming car just getting it all wrong into the wall.
It looks to me like he's really struggling and overdriving the car, trying to force it through the corners and trying to force overtakes and defending his position when it's really not in the car anymore. He might have a little bit of damage because he's had contact a few times and obviously working the tires a bit harder than his competitors around him. Yeah,
Michael Mallett there again, not able to hold the low line through the corner, and there's contact with Simgintas, who gets thrown into the wall, and Simgintas again into the back of another car, and this is just slowing everyone down into turn 3. There goes Unite tears past. So some drivers enjoying this more than others.
At the front, something interesting has happened. Beirut decided that he would go by, try to unlap himself. Now he and Yub are working together, exchanging positions in the draft and going quite a bit quicker than they were before. So whereas it was going well for Yub, the cars behind him not working together and actually slowing themselves down, leading comfortably with a lap car behind. Now he and the lap car are working together to extend the lead even further.
Yeah, Beirut down in 31st place. It does look like Gustas and Kig are working a little bit better than they were before. They've worked something out, and they are at least overtaking in the right places. Although I think if Ayub can keep it on the track and not tangle with Beirut, I think this race is his.
For the back, mostly cars running in line. Jack Eyre has caught the pack in front of him. He's got Escamas ahead, and then Gavin Pete, who's running pretty quickly, going alongside Rick Cardall into turn 1. We'll see if Jack can keep the momentum up. Cars running alongside in front of him are going to give him a huge punch, a big hole in the air for him to be able to catch up. We'll see if he can work together with someone in this pack to continue moving forward. An impressive drive from the very back of the pack.
Yeah, looking like it might be a top 10 if anyone else ahead falls off the road in the last 10 laps. Unite then is doing quite a good job behind him as well. The S Motorsport drivers who started right at the back as well are still there, but they need to gain a couple more places on this on the last stage of this race.
Ball's sideways out of turn 3. He just disconnected right before he collected another car. Again, another polite gesture from a car that's gotten it out of sorts and in a dangerous position, disconnecting before causing further trouble. That's a shame for him, but he did avoid causing a big accident.
Gustash and Kig have been separated. Clearly their drafting hasn't gone well somewhere, and they've ended up falling back.
Looking ahead, Jack taking it 3 wide in turn 3, manages to make the low line work. Don't know if he'll be able to keep the momentum up, but he'll be able to tuck in line. He sneaks in behind Rick Cardall. He carried a lot of momentum, but wasn't able to make it stick at the bottom. There's just not as much speed at the bottom of the racetrack. The banking isn't as steep, and the line is quite a bit tighter. On worn, hot tires, it's very difficult to make it work, but he is now in the thick of a battle here with Rick Cardall, Escamas, and Gavin Pete.
Yeah, Jack, it looks like you're going to have a good run here if you can stick with these guys. 3 more places up for grabs.
Yeah, man. I was trying to keep it down low, but it's so hard to know when to get on the throttle in uncharted territory, which is down low in turn 3. We'll see how it goes this time. Hard to judge when to lift and how much to lift as well, being so close to a car ahead, because you're a couple clicks faster, but seems to work. About keeping that rear in check.
Jack on the knife edge there, just making the smallest inputs he can to keep the car pointed the right direction, right on Rick Cardall's tail. This is really exciting, Jack. Keep it up.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Ricardo there being forced on the high line by Jack was a good move there. So up ahead of them, it's Eskimos and Gavin Pete who are trying to work together to break this gap. But with 7 laps to go, let's see if Eskimos can find a rhythm that has been lacking as Jack gets repassed by Ricardo. They need to work together to catch these two.
Checking in quickly at the front, Ayub and Beirut are working together beautifully, much the same as Trespasser and TJ did in the first race. They have extended the gap over second place up to 7 seconds now, so Ayub is easily driving away with a good drafting partner in the lap car Beirut. He's got 5 laps left, but it appears it'll be a cruise for him to the finish. Behind them, Gustus and Kig are not working well together. The world-class Lions cars are Pekka Koivunen and Jani Katila working together to stay ahead of Juban. Juban now racing Jari Katila, who fell back from the world-class Lions pack.
So as this race has strung out, some drivers have found drafting partners and some haven't. In the longer oval XRT formats, namely the Kyoto 250, these packs are a lot more important than they are in sprint race format. But a 30-lap race is still a decent distance to get, a lot of ground gained with a drafting partner. But it has drawn out somewhat. At the line, there will be 3 laps to go, or 4 laps to go now, and 3 laps to go when Ayub completes this next lap. His draft partner, Beirut, has checked out a little bit.
Yeah, Ayub still cruising at the front, and Jack in the thick of his battle. Looking back, Thilo is also in a fight with Scattle. The race hasn't gone as well as he would like, but Thilo, tell us a little bit about it.
So I finally caught up to Scattle, driving pretty much in the slipstream of Kit so far. Scattle was the one I had the contact with that ended my first race.
Yikes, that was close.
There
Well
was
held.
slight touch.
Looks like we got you at a bad moment, so we'll let you get back to it. Good luck.
Thanks.
Jack's got up to P10, Rick Cardle's P11. This is the battle for the last spot in the top 10. It does look like Eskimos and Gavin Pete are doing everything they need to do. Eskimos has dropped off, actually, the back of Gavin Pete, so let's see if Rick Cardle and Jack can get past that. Jack, what do you reckon?
Yeah.
I think he's in the focus zone, isn't he?
Yeah, we're pretty
believe
even
he
on
is.
pace. I'm wondering myself as well.
If you can spare a mental cycle for a question, Jack, we've seen some drivers work really well together in the draft and gain a lot of time. It looks like you and Rick don't have quite the rhythm that some of the faster drivers do. Would you say that's true? That's false? How does it feel running around with Rick?
It's probably true. Sort of switching places between corners on the oval, whether that's the fastest way or not remains to be seen. It's probably not. Yeah, moving forward as fast as we can. Just trying to get a good run out of turn 3 because it's all up for grabs.
We've got a lap and a half to go, so good luck.
Thanks, guys.
As we head on to the final lap, AU bleeds from Gustas, who's pulled a gap over Kevin for the podium. Then it's Joni Katila who's bearing down on Kig, but I don't know if there's enough time left. Pekka Koivunen's right behind him. A strong result for Pekka if he can keep that. Jaban likewise, P6. That's great for his championship. Jari Katila, P7. Gavin Pete, P8. Eskimos, P9. Then it's Rick Cardle and Jack, this battle that's been forming the whole race. Jack has dropped off a bit, so maybe he had a bit of a wobble on the last lap.
Yeah, a bit of oversteer out of 3.
Unlucky. Then it's Traspasser, currently carrying the fastest lap, I believe. He's in P12. Then it's Unite, who's dropped back from him in P13. But yeah, AU about to round the final corner as he avoids Gum Garage's Mr. Fetch there across the line, almost. There's been a collision across the line, in fact. Hopefully that doesn't cause anyone any issues.
Yeah, it was a bit unlucky for Erotica there because he crossed the line in front of the leader and got turned around, so he actually has a lap to complete.
Gustas did come across the line in P2, then it was Kig, Joni Katila, Pekka Koivunen, and Jaban, and Gavin Pete. Strong points for Teamwork Racing in this second race, so a little bit of solace for Gavin Pete, I think. But yeah, big news for Jaban there in the Drivers' Championship, with Pete missing the first race. Then it was Jari Katila in P8, Eskimos P9. Rick Cardle took away the top 10 from Jack Eyre at the last minute. P11 for Jack, then it's Trespasser in P12, Unite P13, Texas and Bortz for Teamwork Racing P14 and 15, Elmo for TC Racing P16, World Class Lions Timu Soini P17, Yaroloco P18, Kid and Thilo Falkenberg round out the top 20.
From 20th place and 21st, we've got Scattle, Pukas in 22nd, 23rd, Erotica, Gemini in 24th, Yes Gentis in 25th, TJ, very disappointing race to finish 26th after finishing second in the first race, Donalik in 27th, Beirut 28th, ran an impressive drive, carrying the ultimate winner, Ayub, around, though he finished a lap down. Rocky 7 up in 29th, Mr. Fetch, rounding out the order in 30th.
Fab stuff. Yeah, that was a really fun evening of racing, and different for us to be commentating on an oval race. It's not something we're used to, is it, at all here? Normally talking about circuit racing in the Teamwork Racing Championship especially. But yeah, what a great round, and that means that there's only 3 races left in this year's Teamwork Racing Championship, and there's a lot of points still on offer. Whether it's going to be any change in the Drivers' Championship, we'll have to wait and see. There's almost certainly going to be change in the Teams Championship again, between Teamwork Racing and Yes Motorsport. We'll have to see whether World Class Lions are still in with the fight. It's looking a little more doubtful, but it's definitely going to be a 2-horse race between Teamwork Racing and Yes Motorsport as we head to the next round at Fern Bay at another custom configuration with the XFG round 42 here on Sim Broadcasts next Tuesday, the 10th of November from 8 o'clock UTC. Thanks to Jack and Thilo for streaming us their onboards for something a little bit different here today on our 50th broadcast as simbroadcasts.tv. We hope you've enjoyed that little test that we ran there with the onboards. It was quite good fun to see those perspectives. Thilo and Jack, do you want to talk us through your races?
Jack, go ahead.
Sure, Thilo. So yeah, starting from 30-something, the start was reasonable. Managed to get into single file by turn 1, and then just happened to get lucky, avoid all the carnage that happened on the back straight between 2 and 3. And I think I found myself in 25th place after lap 1. And then it was just a case of getting my head down, finding a rhythm, and keeping the tyres alive.
Well, that second race was definitely a better outcome than the first race. For
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. Not to make excuses for race 1, but I'm probably the only person that's taken advantage of the multiplayer speed up option in Live for Speed. I was getting 30 frames in the first race.
Wow.
But much better in the second one. So glad to be a part of it.
Cool. Thilo, it didn't quite go your way today.
Well, after that, disappointing first race, I pretty much, I'm very happy to finish in top 20 I was caught in that accident between 2 and 3 that Jack just avoided. Lost about 20 seconds to the pack ahead. So I was getting into a hot lap rhythm. With 10 to go, I started to get close again to other cars. I had Kid right in front of me who was doing pretty much the same pace as I was doing. So at least I had a visual reference throughout the race. And then the last couple of laps, I got from 26th up to 20th. Some nice battles at the end. Also, personal best for me set in this race. So I'm quite happy with how this all ended up.
Good. It must be different driving in a race, considering we've been commentating on them all year.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, this is pretty much the first race in quite some time that I got my wheel back out of the box. So yeah, was something interesting and was very much fun.
Great to hear it. Thank you again for streaming us those onboards. Thanks, Travis, for joining me in the commentary box once again. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a good one for me.
I did. I grew up watching oval racing. I enjoy oval racing myself, and this was a lot of fun to do. So thank you for having me.
No worries. Join us again tomorrow on Sim Broadcasts for the 50th broadcast special, an open server from 9 o'clock where we're going to be doing some pickup races, but from 8 we'll be streaming some Sim Broadcasts TV commentator fun from 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock here on Twitch. Keep an eye out for details on that tomorrow. It should be a lot of fun. Hopefully you can join us from 9 o'clock. We'll be streaming those races live on Twitch. Then in a couple of weeks' time, we have the beginning of the MRC BF1 League. Sign-ups are open on the LFS forum. Go ahead and sign up for that if you're interested in doing 5 rounds of BF1 racing in Live for Speed. Round 1 starts on Saturday the 22nd of November. We'd love to see you there. It's going to be great. This weekend, on Sunday the 8th of November, we have the return of the NDR TBO Challenge from Blackwood GP Reversed from 3 o'clock UTC. Don't miss that. All that's left to say is thank you very much for watching and good night.